The upcoming topics, we've got, oh, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Upcoming topics, we've got community health, parks and open space, public facilities, and earned density. And I guess those are on the agenda for Thursday. So we've got a lot to do. The dates for the upcoming meeting, the last meeting is this Thursday, July 28th at 5 p.m. And then mid-August will be the final task force meeting with final endorsement. The approved topics to date are transportation, affordable housing, public art, heritage resources, economic development, planning principles, and environmental stewardship. And I think all of those can now start moving into the final format that has been designed for the comprehensive plan. We've been trying to get some of the draft chapters into that format, so I think we can start pulling those in as well. Are there any questions?
Walter is now on.
Oh, good.
Hey, Tammy, I'm on, and Lynn, but I'm not really on.
Okay.
So keep going.
Okay.
Hey, Lynn,
Right.
I just want to have one question. I want to confirm that folks got the revised equity chapter sent out to you. I know it was sent out to you all probably 30 minutes before this meeting, but
I did receive it at 4:40 p.m.
okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that email went out.
Yep, it did.
Thank you for sending.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes. Great.
Excuse me, guys, just one other quick interjection. I saw an email from Bill Penniman that said he did not have a link for today's meeting. Someone on the staff might be able to resend that.
Yeah. It's back in July 7th.
Is somebody sending Bill Penniman the link, or shall I?
I'll see if I can. Well, I'm on my
Send
phone.
it.
I know.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Was that?
Chris Daniels, I have a question. I was unaware that the email had been sent with the revised equity. There are 2 copies of the equity on that.
Yes, there's a clean version and one that shows the comment.
Okay. So, but they're both the same version.
They're the same version.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Lisa, if you could give me share responsibility, what I'd like to do is go ahead and pick up with land use where we left off. I think we are very close, and if Bill Penniman is on, or whenever he is on, I want to give him a shout out for identifying something that we all missed. And that's one of the good things about having such a big group to work with, is that you've got a lot of eagle eyes that can review your documents. So that's a good thing. So,
And you've got bad audio.
Yeah,
Lynn,
got a yellow highlight. This is our endpoint from 7:12.
Lynn, people missed you.
Oh no. Yes, I'm gonna draw my VPN. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can somebody let Bill Penniman into as a panelist? Apparently he's in the attendee. Okay. Okay, so so our endpoint, I think we had from 7:15, we went through all of this. This is where we are. So this is where we're going to pick up today. So the transit station mixed use east of Wheelie, and this is TOD 1.5 to 2.5 FAR. It was the, and this is something that Bill Penniman contacted me about today. And we do need to add the 1.5 to 2.5 in the section east of Wheelie. So we had, I think, 2 to 3. And I'll just share my screen here. So in the map, it shows 2 to 3 for this whole area north of the toll road. And actually, this little square over here needs the 1.5 to 2.5. So I do have a Word document that I was going to be sending to Bill Mayland to get these maps updated. And that is one area, just this, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this little area here does need the 1.5 to 2.5 inserted. So,
If I could,
and if John Carter?
no, this is Bill Penniman.
Oh, Bill, you're on. Okay.
Yeah, and I disagree with that. The map is correct. The map reflects what is in the plan because there is a section of the TOD transit station mixed use area, another the quarter mile that extends on the other side of Wheelie. And so it is in the plan currently is 2.0 to 3.0. And there is, and I believe one of the applicants has already gotten approval for it. So it would be a mistake to down plan it here. I don't think there's any
I
basis
don't
for
think
it.
it's down planning it, but
Well, reducing
is-
the possibilities would be usually considered that. I mean,
okay. I thought you were saying that the plan text is accurate. So you're saying that
the map is
this
accurate.
east of Wheelie,
I'm saying the map is accurate and the plan text on page 26 of the PDF or the printout of it is incorrect. And there's one other place where I believe that inconsistency shows up, but that's
so you're
most
saying this
clearly there.
1.5 to 2.5 that I have highlighted on the screen is incorrect.
I can't read what you have highlighted. Yes, that's incorrect. For that should be 2.0 to 3.0, like the area to the west of Wheelie. In that small area, once you get out to the residential mixed use, it is 1.5. You're correct on that.
Okay, so this will be investigated and the correct.
And I think Bill Malin note in the, but as you've summarized it already, notes that.
Okay.
Is John Carter on?
I'm guessing not.
John will be on. He just didn't have the link, so I just sent it to him.
Oh, thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
Lynn,
Yes.
can you help me? What row is that on your spreadsheet? Is that 18?
That is row number 20.
20.
The first.
Uh,
Yeah, it's the one that says page 26, page 16 of the PDF.
Okay.
So it's row
Okay.
number 20. It's highlighted on the screen.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So
we're going to say that that is based on what Bill is saying. I'm taking that this is based on your experience on the Reston planning and zoning, that something has already been approved.
yes, I mean, that's my recollection. There are so many numbers that throw around.
Understood. Okay. So I'm just going to make a note here.
Could we,
East of Wheelie, transit station north.
Lynn,
Yes,
could we just, when John gets on, can we just ask about this? Because
sure.
I've gone through this.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going, and when he comes on, we can come back and revisit.
Okay.
You know, but if it's 2 to 3, then it's 2 to 3.
Right, right, right,
That's
right,
that's all she wrote.
right.
Thank you for your
Good.
eagle eyes on that, Bill. Appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. Now, the other item down here is the general comment to put in low end for residential mixed use areas. So that would be 1 to 1.5 FAR. That way they have a low end identified for earned density. And the notes that we have here is that we're going to wait until the earned density chapter comes forward. And if there are, if earned density is adopted, then it makes sense to go in and put the low end. But right now it is the 1.5 FAR, which you can all see is here. There's the 1.5. Okay.
Yeah, if I could just comment, and that is,
Of course.
I think the 1.1 to 1.5 as a range makes sense, regardless of what comes out of the earned density discussions. For transit-oriented development to work, just in those areas, I'm not talking the broader TSAs, but at least in those areas, a minimum level of development is important, because anything that's built is going to last for 50 to 100 years. And so if some builders come in with quick and dirty, build something small and sell it, it'll undermine the ultimate viability of the TOD areas and undermine their ability to achieve the county's goals and successful TOD for the people who live there, for the other people who live there. So I will argue it either way, but I'm happy to defer the discussion to the next.
Well, I think we want to adopt the land use chapter today. So if this is going to be something that is going to be a deal breaker for you, Bill, we're going to need to get this reconciled.
Well, I mean, I think if
today.
it comes up in earned density, and
Mhm.
even if earned density isn't adopted, we could put it back in. But we already have ranges for some areas in the quarter mile, the 2 to 3, the 1.5 to 2.5, the various ranges within the quarter mile at town center. And I think it makes sense in the residential mixed use areas to similarly have a range in a 1 to 1.5. Would provide something. Too little density defeats the process, and we see bad examples of places that got underbuilt relative to their attempt at mixed use development. And I can give examples, but
May I ask if John Carter is on?
He is now
Planning
on.
Commission?
Yes, I'm now on.
Okay. Hello, John.
Hello.
So were you able to benefit from the discussion, or do I need to summarize for
I
you?
didn't hear that discussion.
Okay.
Sorry.
So no worries at all. So I'm going to go back up to the first item. So this is row number 20 of the reconciliation dashboard. The first item that we were discussing was that the transit station mixed use east of Wheelie, TOD, has 1.5 to 2.5 FAR, 50-50. The current plan is 2 to 3. So apparently the text in the Wheelie mixed use east of Wheelie. So apparently the text in the plan is reading 1.5 to 2.5. So the comment is that this should be 2 to 3.
as is shown on the map on page 25, and is reflected in Bill Malin's comment as well.
Well, whatever the existing plan says, what is the map correct?
I believe
The
so.
map is correct.
Oh, huh.
So, and Bill Penniman mentioned that he believes that there is a project there that's already been approved.
Okay.
That would be
At
midline,
the-
right, Bill Penniman?
There certainly is a big project that's been approved, and I think it was in that range of 2 to 3.
But was it
That
midline?
was a long time ago. Pardon?
Was it midline?
Yeah, that whole crowd of buildings, yeah. But I can't swear to my memory of what got approved, but I think that's what it was.
Well, let's just go back. Bill, what you want is whatever's in the existing plan, correct?
Yeah, and
Sure.
I think the map accurately shows it.
Well, that's what it should be. I'm just, I don't know. I'm not
So
sure what
we
this is.
thought we had pulled what was in the existing plan forward
Yeah,
for this. So,
And then,
so we're going to pull what's in the existing plan and
Yep.
say that that is
what it
the
should be. Yeah.
correct.
I mean, this is St. Clair from DPD, so I just
Hey,
wanted
St.
to,
Clair.
yes, I just wanted to confirm that as Bill Miller had noted, like on page 157 of the current plan, it does for the transit station mixed use, it does say it's planned for 2.0 to 3.0 FAR.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right,
Just
so
not
we'll
sure
call that
why
reconciled.
while we have those sub-districts there. I'm not sure why we have that. Or we'll just go back and look at it. Whatever the existing plan says, that's what's
Yeah.
intended.
So we do have a position in the sense that we voted to keep what is in the current plan, right?
Yeah,
So that's
That's all we need to
3.
verify. That's all we need to
Right.
verify.
yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
good
So
point,
the
Mr.
next,
Mooney.
the next item on the in this row number 20 is the general comment to put in a low end for residential mixed use areas. So, and we've been through this, John Carter, I know, but the 1 to 1.5 FAR is recommended. That way that we've got a low end identified for earned density. We as a subgroup of the task force said that we were going to wait to see what happened with earned density. Mr. Penniman is recommending that we consider going ahead and moving forward with the 1 to 1.5 regardless of earned density.
Which area is this?
This
Basically,
is in the residential mixed use.
Which one?
I would say basically all of them. The idea being that within the TOD areas, and I'm not talking the more general TSA areas, but in the residential mixed use TOD, having a minimum level of development will prevent the kind of very small projects that some developers might think gets them a quick dollar, but undermines the vibrancy of the area in the long run. And these buildings will be here for 50 to 100 years. So that would come in at something that's truly supportive of the transit
But why-
station.
Why would you
Yeah.
want to go less than 1.5? That's
Oh, I'm happy to do that too. I thought though that 1.5 wasn't the standard, that it was 0 to 1.5. I would be
No,
happy
it's
to stay at
1.5 is the standard.
I would leave it at 1.5. Just leave
If
it.
that's the
Any
case, then I
respect
withdraw.
at any
Then I withdraw.
time.
This is going to stay at 1.5 then, where this is
All of them are at
reconciled.
1.5.
All right.
I misunderstood.
Um,
Thank you.
Sure.
I don't
Thank
know that
you.
earned density has a play in here. We don't know that yet.
Right. Okay.
Probably it doesn't.
So we're calling this reconciled
That's-
and
fine.
stays at 1.5. So we are no longer waiting for earned density. This is. Thank you. Good discussion. Okay, moving right along.
Is that middle one
Um,
reconciled? The middle one? The middle bullet?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
oh, let's see, Wheelie, Transit Station North, residential
Yeah,
mixed use.
1.5.
Yeah, yeah, that's reconciled as well.
Two.
Thank you.
2 for Isaac Newton.
2 for Isaac Newton,
Yeah,
right? But otherwise, it would be 1.5. That's right.
right. That's right. That's the only exception, I think, in the whole plan.
Right, and even there, it's 2.0, not 2.5.
Right.
All right, good. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to, this has already been reconciled, page 28. This is the Association Drive residential mixed use. Now, Roland Clark, I don't know if Mark Looney is on this week. Yes.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Hi, Mark. So it's unclear. So this is staff comments for Roland Clark, that it's unclear whether the task force supports new residential units at this Roland Clark site. Notice you've got a name mentioned there, Mark. So depending on the direction, we might want to further edit the text to make it clear what is expected. More residential would require rezoning of the entire site out of the PRC district. So we, as a working group, thought that this really needs more clarification from you, Mark. If you could give us a sense of what your client is thinking for this site, or, I mean,
So,
let's,
so I'll try to do it as easily and simply as possible. So the current plan recommendation has language in there that to go back and refresh everybody's memory. The original approved development plan for this site, dating back to the 1960s, called for this whole area to be convention and conference center uses, and more specifically office uses. And so it was all 100% office, and there were approved site plans for about 1.5 million square feet on 3 parcels off of Roland Clark Place. So in 2014, when the plan was updated, there was language added to the plan that encouraged the conversion of the approved office square footage to a mix of uses. More specifically, there's plan text that says that a minimum of 50% of the gross floor area should be comprised of residential development. It was also given the brownish reddish color as residential mixed use, which in the area-wide text says that it should have 75-25 residential to non-residential square footage. And the existing building that was approved pursuant to the other plan converted one of the 2 office buildings that was on site to residential, and left the second building to a future phase to be determined, largely as to the extent of any non-residential development that was to be included in the phase 2 component, because the current plan language has the minimum 50% residential, but then theoretically has a corresponding suggestion that no more than 75% of the square footage be residential. And so the owners have tried to figure out what to do with the 25% non-residential component in light of the fact that it sits now behind 2 townhouse developments and has challenged visibility from Sunrise Valley Drive in terms of how to get back in there. And so what they have been talking with the county at large about is incorporating some sort of public use component into the site to offset the expectation for the non-residential development that would be expected because of a concern that it just wouldn't be viable in that location. for the reasons I said earlier. They came up with a proposal to incorporate, as I mentioned, I think 2 meetings ago, 4 indoor pickleball courts, an elevated track, and an indoor sport court, along with about 6,000 square feet of community meeting space into the project, a total of about 30 or 31,000 square feet of public uses that would go in addition to a second residential building. The Park Authority's response was, in part, we feel like the location and lack of visibility would make incorporation of public uses a challenge at that location. And further, we're not exactly sure how to operate and manage vertically integrated recreation uses versus a standalone building. And
Do we
so
know what factors led to that determination by the Park Authority?
I don't. I have a meeting scheduled for later this week to talk with the Park Authority to understand it. All I have is an email that says we don't think that the access and visibility at this location makes it attractive for pickleball, and there may be other uses that could go in there. I guess theoretically there was some discussion of a community playground or something like that, but I'll find out a little bit more on Friday of this week. I think big picture, the challenge is, and I think what the Park Authority has confirmed certainly is that putting uses at the end of a cul-de-sac that has townhouses fronting it, putting I'll say uses that require the public to know how to get to a location or a destination through 2 townhouse communities makes any type of destination use at that location challenging. And I think that the question is, what other alternatives are out there that could try to satisfy this? What we've talked about is, or what the client, I should say, has talked about is that given everything else that's happened around the neighborhood and what's been developed there, a principally residential development is the only thing from a compatibility standpoint that makes sense. And you have toll road noise issues that have to be abated as part of any
Right.
design as well.
Okay, thank you. I see Tammy, you've got your hand up. Thank you, Mark.
Holy smokes, this is crazy. If you can find RCC at Hunter's Woods, you can find that cul-de-sac. Trust me, people would stab their mother to get to a pickleball court. So we just sort of talked about this a little bit last time, but I find that a spurious argument that you can't, whatever goes in there, you can't see it. If it's desirable and it's recreation, of which there's a dearth and you're surrounded by residential, and it's only going to be more residential coming into the TSAs, you can, and they are mostly studio, 1 bedroom, some 2 bedroom. Those are people who are singles or couples, very few children, who are dying for recreation space. So I would say go for it. You have it to the west, you're going to have it to the east. That's crazy that this idea that there's not a market. Thank you.
See, what's
Would
the
it help
issue?
if we made a recommendation?
I'm not sure what the issue is. Let's look at Bill's comments, what Bill Malin, see if is that the case?
So, Bill, well, his question is whether we want additional residential uses. So he said this combined the 3 areas with different plan text and expectations. The northern 2 lots had a plan of 3.55. And this is basically what's already
In the plan.
it's already in there.
And
so his
What's the
comment
issue?
revised 3 FAR contradicts the approved proffers of 3.55. So we did update this language
Yeah,
to the 3.55. Now,
So if
I
you do
don't
that,
think
what's
that
the
Bill
issue?
Mayland kind of public uses. Well, the issue is that the public uses that Mark's client would like to put in, and what has been requested has come back from the Park Authority as a judgment, and I don't know where it came from, and I don't think that Mark does either. That this is not an appropriate site for a pickleball court, and for all of the reasons listed, that it's at the end of a cul-de-sac, and that it's just not an appropriate location for these public uses. And I think that, John, I think you and other members of the land use working group would agree that that would be a fabulous recommendation coming from the working group. So
Could I
my
ask a question?
question,
So what's the issue?
Yes.
I don't know what the issue is.
well, the issue is that the Park Authority has come back saying that that plan is not appropriate for the site.
That
I
might
think
be,
what we just,
maybe pickleball isn't appropriate. I don't know, but there are public uses that are appropriate. Whether the parks are going to operate it or not, that's a whole different question, but.
Right.
That's what I wanted to ask
So
for Mark. Mark, is the issue whether you're going to transfer responsibility to the Park Authority, or whether your client would simply operate it and, charge fees and take care of it all?
So,
I suspect
so-
that's what the problem is.
well, so Bill, the answer is we didn't get to that
Right.
Okay.
granular level of detail. What was proposed was to build the facilities using the private sector dollars and turn them into public facilities, presumably operated either by the Park Authority or and I'm going to get the name wrong, but there's another division within the county that's like neighborhood and community services that also is operating other public facilities that for the benefit of the public, and they're not privately owned, but they are publicly owned. And I've worked on another case. Part of the reason why this was suggested was I'm involved in another case in another part of the county where 4 pickleball courts were proffered in the base of a residential building, and the Park Authority agreed to take it. I think in that case, it's going to be a lease as opposed to a deed, but that's a detail that can be worked out at a later date. I think my sense is, to John's point, it may be that pickleball is not the preferred result. That may be part of the issue. The question is, I think from the Park Authority's perspective, at least, irrespective of what the use was, there was concern about whether a public use could be viable at this location, given the visibility and access issues that are there, which, by the way, is why the property owner is concerned about putting leasable non-residential space that would have to similarly face those same challenges, right? So we're all identifying the challenge. It's the question of what do you fill it with? And I think whether there are alternative uses that are available is part of the exploration for the meeting on Friday that is upcoming. I'll throw it out there as long as we're talking about this. One of the challenges is if you look at a straight 75-25 use mix split, the expected non-residential square footage, be it a private sector use, is somewhere in the 160 to 180,000 square foot range to meet an overall 25% requirement. That square footage is, 2 times or 1.5 times the Wegmans over at Howie Rise, just for perspective. And so part of the conversation that we've had with DPD and the Park Authority has been a recognition that if you're doing public uses where you are building facilities that are owned and available to the public as opposed to private facilities where there's a pay to play scenario in place, then it's not really open to the public. And so there's public benefit that goes beyond the square footage, because I think it's difficult even with public uses to get 150,000 or 175,000 square feet of anything at that location. There are just very few facilities that are of that size.
What,
Can I
Mark?
jump in,
Go
please?
So
ahead.
yes, Jan Bradshaw.
Yes, okay. Well, there are a lot of pickleball courts in existence right now. Southgate Community Center has them indoors and it has them outdoors. Reston Association, I noticed they have several tennis courts that have been converted to pickleball courts. It's wildly popular, but we already have a lot of pickleball courts.
Jan, there's a huge waiting list for pickleball, and I don't know of any indoor courts. Who has indoor pickleball?
Indoor pickleball is at Southgate Community Center.
Okay, so is that one or two? I mean, we have 40 people line up to play pickleball at one pickleball court outside at RA. So the usage desire is intense.
Yeah, I think the language that we have in the plan draft is appropriate.
I think so too.
Okay, so I'd like to.
The issue that Bill Malin has brought up, see in the comment, is that the case? You see
Well,
that?
his question is whether the intent of the task force is to permit additional residential units on this site. And it's my understanding that residential has been maximized on this site. So
Is that the case, Mark? Is that the case?
Well, if you keep the existing office building,
Right.
yes. Right. I mean, I think the issue is, part of the issue is you have a 1970s vintage office building that
that's
is
a
now
beautiful building, by the way. I know you hate it, but it's a beautiful building.
It's not a question of hate, right? It's a question of I mean, think of it this way, right? The part of the issue that the owner is now struggling with is that it's it's the oldest building on the block. It's the only one of the only buildings still back there. It is reaching the end of its useful life, and the question is the neighborhood overall better off with an existing older office building that's still surface parked versus finishing out the neighborhood, right? That's really the policy question is
Struggling with this.
how do you finish the neighborhood?
Is the density 3.55?
No, it's nowhere close. It's like a 1.6.
No, I mean, is the density permitted 3.55?
Yes.
So why would you have to rezone then?
Because the PRC limit, if you do one more residential unit in that area, it puts you above the 50 dwelling units per acre
That's the issue.
calculation
Yeah.
in the zoning ordinance.
That's the issue.
Good.
Okay. Well, I think that if it's okay with you all, I think that we have discussed this. We've looked at all of the issues, and I would like to indicate that this is reconciled, that the language that we have provided in the draft plan with the update of the FAR to 3.55 from 3.0, that is now corrected. And the plan language, I believe, reflects accurately. And I think this is also what was in the previous plan. So
It's not quite, Lynn. I guess my request, if I were going to make one request on the
Mhm.
language, if you can go back to that, because this has always been the question. If you go down the sentence that says a wide range of public uses and office uses are encouraged as part of the redevelopment to provide, I would request that we change provide to satisfy, because I think part of what we have discussed with staff is that it doesn't necessarily have to be a 1-for-1 square footage replacement if you're adding public uses, because the public uses add benefit that are above and beyond any benefits that private uses would have. And that gives us an opportunity to figure out what exactly that mix should be to satisfy it as opposed to provide.
Are there any issues with that change?
Seems all right. I don't,
This is Chris Caperton. I
Hi,
would
Chris.
just ask Mark who that conversation was with, if he got that direction from staff.
Which one, Chris?
That this satisfying the percentage is not necessarily 1-for-1 for public. Public
I'm
facility
saying
square footage.
I'm saying staff did not agree to that. It's what we've proposed.
And you proposed that to who? I just hadn't
Oh
seen that.
gosh, it goes Denise James, starting with Denise James.
Oh, okay. I thought this
7
was
years
recent.
ago. I'll put it to you
Okay.
this way: every staff person that's ever been involved in this, we've talked with them about that. So it's not that say that there's been agreement on it. This has been part of the conversation.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead. If there are no objections from the land use working group or the task force, I'm going to go ahead and make that change.
one other change, Lynn,
Yep.
it's on the map. It should be 3.55, not 3. I think 3 is on the map.
It's 3.5 on the map.
Is it? Let's see.
I think it was that we definitely tweaked it, the map.
Yeah, I don't. Let's see. I'm not sure.
Is this? Oh no, this is Wheelie. Sorry, wrong map.
3.55. See, it should be 3.
It
says
is 3.55.
Yeah, but it shows 3.5 on the map.
Here.
There it is. See it? 3.55.
Okay, thank you. Good catch, John. Okay,
Yeah,
good catch. Thank you.
minor point.
All right, so we're going to call this one
Reconciled.
yes. And I think we are almost done, folks. Let me just capture the, I want to capture the correct verbiage. So this is, instead of provide, we're going to change that to satisfy, correct?
Correct.
I'm missing the nuance there, but okay, it seems all right.
Yeah, I'm missing it also, but we're not putting in anything about 1-for-1.
No.
That's something else.
Okay. All right. Good discussion. Thanks, everybody. So I think that this is our updated,
Lynn?
yes. Hi, Bill.
Yeah, just a couple other things. One, you and I talked about this afternoon. As I noted, the way it's worded now, there are an awful lot of musts and shalls and that sort of thing, which I'm understanding is going to be modified to recommends. Is that?
Right. So if you look at row number 2 on your screen, this was our first item. You may not have been on the call when we went
I may
through
have missed
this.
that. Okay, that's fine.
So staff believes that there are legal considerations that the county attorney should review.
But yeah,
Okay, no, that's fine.
So yeah, so we're gonna recommend plan language that uses active verbs, and we're in the process of going back through and just making those adjustments. And I did provide you when we spoke earlier today
Right.
with some samples of how that
Yeah,
language.
and that's fine. A couple of questions though.
It is expected. What happened to it is expected that.
no, we shouldn't be
That
doing
was
that.
just about
Uh,
Barbara.
that was something that was recommended by Barbara Byron, but we are finding that the use of active verbs is more
Superior.
useful.
And
It's
we
more
don't,
useful to staff and folks that are reading the plan
Okay.
Well, so I
rather
just,
than being prescriptive or demanding.
I mean, I think softening is important in a number of areas. One of the ones that that jumps out at me the most is the must language on page 27. That there must be public drop off and pickup in metro parking on the south side of the Wheelie station. There's plenty of that on the north side. If you do start putting that kind of traffic through, it'll destroy the public plaza that they're planning or talking about.
No,
it
because
would
it's
be
underground, Bill. It's underground, Bill Penniman.
What is?
Doesn't destroy the plaza at all. That
Well,
entire
That's why it would,
outside is
softening the language, I think, is important because I think some of these things run into conflicts with other goals. So I say that we don't have to
So
resolve
it's an
it, or you
example,
don't have the
Bill.
language.
This will be reworded
Yeah, no, that's fine.
to use active verbs. So yeah. Thank you. All right.
And then the one other thing I would note, and I don't know if this is the right place to note it, if I recall correctly, the language on town center says that the county can't put additional residential on it. Now, maybe that got changed on the county's property. But I do think if you want more low to moderate income housing, county property, close to all the things you would like those people to be near, recreation, grocery stores and the like, that would be a good place. So if
Are
the,
you talking about
language-
Reston Town Center North?
yes, ma'am.
So maybe you missed this meeting, but since there is a task force that has
Okay.
been appointed, headed up by Kate Hanley, we've decided that we are not going to make any recommendations for that site
That's
right now,
fine.
and we're going to leave the language the
fine.
way it is in the draft.
Yeah.
and there is some language, it's awfully limited about just what you're talking about, Bill. It just doesn't go into how much or all of that.
If it's being decided by somebody else, then I won't argue it here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, good. Okay, it is 5:50. I'd like to conclude our land use discussion. I believe everything else has been reconciled with staff. I do want to I know Bill Mayland is not on this call. I'm hoping he is on vacation, but I really do want to give him a great shout out for the work that he did helping us get through this and talk about eagle eyes. He found a lot of areas that we focused on. So I want to thank him. I want to thank you, Chris and St. Clair and everybody from the county staff. The one area that we do still have is an open item is the reconciliation of the numbers. So this is something that is still, we've sent a note to staff. I know this has been open since probably March. We've been working on this since March, April, May timeframe. So this is something that we are expecting to hear back from St. Clair. I don't know when you think we might hear back from you, St. Clair, but
We do have a meeting scheduled this week with our internal staff just to get some feedback on the
Perfect.
numbers questions. So depending on how, hopefully we can get something back to you, ASAP.
okay. So that is this item. This is still open. So this is the only item that is still open. So I just want to thank you all so much. And we will start working on getting the land use chapter into a final form, inclusive of the transferring the use of will and must to active verbs. And we do have a work order, I believe, that Bill Mayland has put into the staff GIS system to get the maps updated. But in the meantime, we will be doing mock-ups of the corrected maps, and you will notice that the 3.5 will include an update to 3.55. But thank you all so much. I really do think this was a incredible task that you've all contributed to greatly. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn and your working group. You guys did a fantastic job with so much material. I'm in awe. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jan.
Do you,
So is Walter still on?
I'm not seeing him.
No, I think he's
Okay.
off, Lynn.
So if you could put the agenda back on and we can turn this over
Yeah,
to,
well, don't we need to take a vote, Lynn?
oh, you're right. We do.
No, we already, we
No, we
voted on
No,
each
we're
one of the
taking a vote.
items.
Thank you. So, Shruti, are you,
Yep.
you're ready? Okay. So, I'm going to make a motion that the draft of the land use chapter be accepted as amended.
Okay.
I second that motion.
I second that.
Tammy already seconded.
Okay.
So if you would pull up your participant screen, and at the bottom of that on the right, the first, you'll see a little hand. If everybody would take their hands down. So for everybody in favor, please raise your hand.
In 5.
Lynn, I can't do that on my phone here, so I'm
How do
raising
you
my
vote?
hand. I vote
Okay.
to
Okay.
approve.
Okay.
Let me keep them up.
And
I have 6. All
you're
right.
adding me, aren't you?
Yes.
Trudy?
I have 8.
You have 8. 1, 2,
6 and 7 with, wait, hang on a minute. Yeah, 7 with
yes. Thanks, Tammy. Okay. 7 in favor of. You can put your hands
Yes.
down.
Okay. So everybody put your hands down.
Any
Tammy?
opposed? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not a staff there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just checking. Okay, I see 5.
Okay.
Put them down.
Okay. 5 against. And then if you'd put your hands down, and any abstentions.
1, 2.
I'm sorry, mine was up by mistake.
Okay. So,
Mine was too. Yeah,
okay. I just see 1,
mistake.
2. Sorry.
2. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
say Lynn, John Carter. I'm
Pardon me?
actually amazed that there are against. I don't know what the gist of that is, but could we go to say that the town center north? I just want to go through. This is not for voting, but I want to make sure people understand what this looks like. So if you go back to the document, say you can pick any area. I'm thinking of, say, town center. So go to the first map in the town center, in the TOD district of the town center. I don't mean to take
Let's
people's
see,
time.
that's Association Drive.
Yeah, the town center.
Can you remind me where that is?
it's Wheelie is
Wheelie.
first,
Oh,
town
that's
center
the
is
town
Hill.
center. Right, I'm getting there.
This is okay, right there, right there. So go to the map with the purple and the,
This, oh, the one with the FARs?
yes, yes.
That one?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So each of these sections, each starts with a map like this, and then it has all the FARs on it. So you can see at a glance quickly what the area this section of the plan is talking about, what the FARs are like. And then as you scroll down at the start of each section, so just scroll down a little bit to the first section. So wait, the first section that has, there it is. So you see, then you've got the title, and then the FARs are essentially repeated here, but then you get the mix right there. So each land bay should be very clear. And then in most cases, there would be graphics as well that would depict this. So this plan, we're striving for a little more clarity. And yeah, see there's the graphics of both slides. I don't mean to drag people through this, but I wanted people to understand how this thing is set up in each land bay. So anyway.
Thank you so much, John. That's great.
And I would second that Bill Malin has been very helpful and
Thank you.
and others have done a great job on this. I think we've squeezed out the errors and we've done a few things that make it a little clearer, and we've changed the mix in at least one or two areas. So it should be a very readable plan at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Tammy, Gary Maupin, Jennifer Juszczyk, Michelle Kimmel, Dennis Hayes, who isn't on the phone, but
And
they
Lynn
were all
Molson.
instrumental, and John Carter.
Yeah.
Lisa, if you could pull up the agenda, I guess Walter's not on, and we can move to the next item.
I am disappointed that it's a 7-5 vote. I guess I
am too.
I don't.
We've
know what the
been
position is.
John,
this is Mike Jennings. I'll just, give you my reason. I mean, I don't have major issues with anything, but I will say that I was reluctant to vote yes for something when I haven't seen the final language yet. We talked about all the things in the spreadsheet, but until this gets put in the document, it's uncomfortable to vote yes for it. I will just give you that one reason.
Yeah, that I understand. So it'll be coming back, we're putting all these chapters together in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Lynn, it's Lisa. I'm sorry. For some reason, it's not letting me take back presenter role. But what's on the agenda is just that Chris Daniels will be presenting the equity chapter that we hope to get through and voted on this evening.
Yes, please.
Okay. So Chris, Lisa, are you able to give Chris sharing rights?
That's a good question.
Or do I need to?
Nope, I got it. I can't give it to myself, but I can give it to Chris apparently. So.
Good. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Take it away, Chris.
Okay. All right. Can everyone let me know if that is visible?
Yep.
All right. I know folks like it if it's zoomed in a little bit, so I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. Hopefully that's workable.
That's perfect. Thank you.
All right. So obviously, I think Michelle should also be joining us too. Her and I obviously have been trying to tag team this to the end here, and we've got lots of crazy family commitments that have been making it difficult to be at every one of these meetings, but we're here. So obviously at the end of last week, you got the comments from staff that were provided to you all. That is not typically the norm, how we would do things, obviously, that we would go to the working group, we try to get something back. But as I think Lisa has highlighted, we are pressed for time, and looking at the agenda for the next meeting, I'm happy we're here at this one as opposed to the next one. That being said, I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of consternation and frustration over the staff input on this. The equity chapter has been a difficult one to develop because it's one of the first times this is going to really show up in a planning document. And obviously the county has been approaching this for the One Fairfax policy. So there's been a lot of growing that's happened. I think I'll steal a line from Chris Caperton during our meeting earlier today, literally at 1, I believe it was, it's all blurring together to talk about this, that things have grown so much even since the sections, even since we started developing this in the comp plan process. With that in mind, Michelle, John Carter, and I, who are some of the folks that I think are still left from the equity working group that are working on this, we kind of took a very roughshod approach with this, and we basically decided that we wanted to focus on prioritizing that there is a vision for equity in Reston, and that it is distinct, and that it is something that we want to see integrated into the planning process, so that equity is thought about not just addressing known or to be identified inequities, but also building to avoid creating inequity, which obviously is a challenge for any type of project. And so to do that, we had a section that had an intro, a visions section that talked about the objectives or vision for equity in Reston, and then we had a table that kind of talked about particular outcomes that we would like to see coming out of that vision. So what you'll notice on this version is that that table is completely gone. We've decided that there's just not enough time to work and refine it into something that we think could be moved forward, and that we would spend all our time debating the items on that and would probably not get enough forward momentum to get something into the comp plan that addressed equity issues in Fairfax County. So what you see before you on the document that was shared, I shared both the staff comment version that showed the reconciliation between us and staff, as well as this clean version for something to walk through. Just generally, the intro through it talks about Reston's priorities with equity, talking about that it is something that's existed well before this effort here, that this is something that's kind of ingrained in the planning of the community. It talks about the One Fairfax policy. And then it also talks about, right before we get into the vision, that we want planning to really think about this, that we really do think there needs to be consideration to think about the effects of our development and how that can be applied equitably across the community. This leads into the vision section, which breaks things out into distinct categories, which you'll note will have some very similar association with sections of the comp plan themselves. Each one of them has a bit of a statement focusing on what that would look like when we implement planning and development equitably in Reston. They're meant to be, and I'll point this out, they're meant to be more open, because obviously they're not being applied to a specific development or a specific parcel. We're not targeting this, because one of the challenges that I think you'll note in some of the comments from staff is data. And that's part of the problem. Is equity is a two-pronged approach. You're both dealing with the situation of building so that you're not creating new inequities, but also when you're going to try to address a identified inequity, it should be data supported. So that's where a lot of this is going to be leaning on staff when they're using this to identify where appropriate and relevant these sections or this vision applies to certain aspects of development under the comp plan. I'm not going to walk through each one of them right now, but I know obviously I'm going to identify some elephants in the room up front. One, this is given to you in very short notice, and I think Michelle and I would both agree that that's not how we wanted it. But it's been taking a very long time to honestly refine it to where it is at now. So the idea was to give you both the version that showed what comments were, as well as a clean version, and kind of walk through it and have some discussion, and then entertain a potential vote on it. The last thing I think I'll mention before I kind of open it up for conversation, or if Michelle has been able to join us, is that when we reconciled this with staff, planning staff, as well as the chief equity officer for the county, both indicated their support for the version you see in front of you. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be tweaked in little places and that there could not be a mistype potentially, but that there was a general support from them in the version that we brought to you today. So we got past what, if for many of you might saw on Friday, a pretty section of disagreement. We worked through that today. So there you go. That's my long and short of it. And I kind of want to leave it open to folks who might have questions about particular sections or items.
This is Bill Penman. I'll just comment. I think you did a very good job on this. I was a skeptic of some of the details and so forth, but this really gives, the broad policy goals that I think we all do share. and we'll bring them into the discussions in a flexible way, depending on what the project involves. So I think it's a good job, and even on a brief reading, I was impressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
I would like to say, this is Tammy. Congratulations. I didn't think you were going to pull this off. I'm in awe and very pleased. As I commented to someone before, this is the first equity chapter. God willing, it will not be the last. This is the form it is in because you had a horrendous, job trying to figure out what to do and what was going to be acceptable from staff. So hopefully this is the baby that will grow up to a much more complete and specific recommendation in the future. But congratulations on parenting this. Thank you.
I would like to send congratulations as well, Chris. This is a phenomenal job. Spent a lot of time with it.
Well, I've got to say, I do not deserve even a moniker of the true credit for this. I would say particularly Michelle and Jennifer, and then as well, the entire working group that we had. And I mentioned that a lot of them are not here with us. That's because other priorities have come up in their lives. Reston Bell, who is here. I know Alvarez is still coming to the meetings, but Alvarez was instrumental. And that's been part of the challenge, was the first working group discussions on this were really, what does this even look like? And I think as staff has indicated, they've only recently gotten someone in planning focused on equity, and they're only on the ground just recently. So potentially what it really is going to be is that Reston, if this makes it through into the comp plan, will be a test case to evaluate how do we continue to improve this in our planning mechanisms.
So is it your desire that is the plan for us to take a vote on equity tonight and get that?
That would be Michelle and I's desire, is that and obviously I want to highlight the comment that was made by John Carter as well as Lisa, that we are going to vote again overall, on recommendations here. The main body, I would say, the first intro section is much of the same exact text, modified and tweaked a little bit from staff influence, as well as comments provided from the original version that was voted for to go through that first period of seeking some public input. The vision section, I do have to give some credit to Carla, the chief equity officer for the county, and I've totally forgotten Carla's last name.
Carla Bruce.
Carla Bruce.
Yeah.
She was very helpful in trying to format it into that vision, and so from that that's how we got there. So there's been collaboration, there's been frustration, but I want to indicate that we tried to make it in a way that it highlighted the areas that we wanted planning to think about when it came to equity, both from a proactive and a reactive measure.
So I'm trusting that members of the task force did take the opportunity, the 20 minutes to review the 4 pages that have been submitted by Chris, Daniel. So are there any other points of discussions or questions for Chris before we take a vote? Or do we have I guess we can make a motion to adopt and have a second and then open it up for discussion. So I'll make a motion that the equity chapter.
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
I was trying to.
Yeah, I can't see anyone's hand, so I'm trusting that if someone's seeing that,
I can't.
Because when you're sharing, you're kind of
so.
limited to what you can do.
Let's make the motion and open it up for discussion, and then Gary, you can come
in. I'm going to make the motion that the equity chapter be accepted as presented by Chris Daniel.
I second.
Thank you, Jan. Is there discussion now, Gary?
Yeah, great job, Chris. And it reads very well. It's hard to sit here and do this. So there could be some points to bring up later. I will say, in looking at some of the detail, I can't check some of the words, but I will say one little thing that it says potentially double the. I know this is not relating to equity per se, but
exactly
it does
what
say
you're talking about.
Yeah,
right here.
And it kind of gets into population, and I would say that is extremely unlikely. I think John Carter's numbers are high, so I don't know that I'd say, potentially double the population.
I will openly acknowledge that part of this section is a challenging bit of language that staff and us tussled with. We wanted to recognize the fact that Reston has changed dramatically, obviously, with the introduction of the TSA to it as a community, and that there needs to be an emphasis on making sure that there is that interface.
Right.
I know that I don't want to touch the population debate. I've been in plenty of these now to know that there are a few areas that I just stray away from: population, golf courses, and I think affordable housing I don't really weigh in on just because I don't know enough on those.
I see Bill Penniman's hand up. Bill.
Yeah, could I just raise a possibility? And I'm not going to throw myself in anybody's sword on it, but instead of saying, development is set to substantially transform Reston and potentially double the population, have it development is set to substantially transform Reston and significantly increase the population, because that's not potential. That will happen.
That's a good
fine
edit.
with me. That sounds great to me, Bill.
Are there
I
any
think it's an accurate
issues?
statement.
Are there any issues from the task force members with that
I
change?
have an issue, and that is that the more you increase the population, double it, you get closer to that 157,000 people. And we still don't have the infrastructure for that. And
Well, I think the recommendation, Jan, is that we take out the potentially double the population and put in significantly increase.
Okay.
Okay.
Can live with
Okay.
You do realize though this plan does do that. So it does potentially double the population. So there's nothing factually inaccurate.
I was going to say this is my next follow on. This is so.
Okay. So
Michelle,
I will amend.
disagree
I will
with
amend
that.
my
I don't think it
motion.
does that.
Well, I
will
want to.
amend-
So Lynn, I
Wait,
want to make sure that Michelle. This is Michelle's language in particular. Michelle, are you okay with that?
I mean, again, this is factually accurate. This
significantly increase is what the recommendation is on the floor.
Wait, Lynn, we didn't discuss this thoroughly. Let Michelle talk.
This plan does present the potential that the population could double. You can say you think it will do something else, but that is what this plan does. This is not a factually inaccurate statement.
I think it is.
I don't think this needs to be changed.
I think it does. I like
think it does.
Lynn's language.
It's actually Bill Penniman's language.
Okay.
Well, again, I just wanted to obviously make sure Michelle had the chance, since this was particularly this section was something she crafted. She's not the motion maker, so if that is accepted, I'll put it in.
I mean, changing this will not affect the fact that this is factually accurate. So if the desire is to change it, then fine.
I think there's
Michelle, I would
disagreement that it's
disagree and say
factually
it's
accurate.
factually inaccurate.
If I can
That's not what
weigh
the
in,
plan does.
if I could weigh in, Michelle, I'm with you, by the way, and significantly increase could be double. So it doesn't say less than double.
Right.
I so appreciate your point, and I am understanding where you're coming from.
But significantly increase is good.
All right. Well, it sounds like if I'm following, and I'm not chairing the meeting, but I'm putting on my ARB hat, that was accepted.
Well,
And it was accepted by the
amended
motioner and the
my
seconder.
motion.
Did
I've
John?
amended my motion to I've amended my motion to accept the amendment, and I think Jan, you had a second. You're going to need to second that.
Yes.
As amended.
Yeah. Increase.
John Mooney has his hand up.
Oh, thank you, Tammy. John Mooney.
Nope, he took it down.
Unintentional, pardon me.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have the motion on the table.
I'm not hearing any, Lynn, so I would humor a vote.
Okay. So if everybody would go to the participant screen, make sure your hand is down. So everyone who is in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
Is the motion to change this language or to approve the whole plan?
The motion is to approve the plan as amended, the chapter, not the plan, but to approve this chapter as amended.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't raise my hand here except to tell you
How do you
that.
vote, Gary?
I vote for it.
Okay.
Okay,
I had
Thank
this.
you.
I'll do a countdown. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you could all put your hands up. Okay, seeing 1, 2, 3. Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I have 10 with Gary Maupin.
Oh, yes, thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome. Okay,
Okay.
everybody lower your hand. So that's 10 in favor. Okay, everyone
Bill
against?
Penniman is your, okay, there you go.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay, everyone opposed in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Let's see, 2. And you can put your hands down. Any abstentions? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
There should be one.
2 abstentions, I see.
Oh, 2. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. And we're done early. That's crazy.
If only you could roll that time over to Friday or the next meeting.
Right. Thursday.
Yeah, and hey, listen, I thank you all for getting through this. I was able to listen to the last the equity discussion. I really appreciate that. I'm no longer violating any FAA rules, which is a good thing. But thanks everyone for getting through the land use section. Thank you, Lynn, for leading that, and Chris, thank you for picking up, and Michelle and Jennifer, everything that you've done on the equity section. I do want to just talk a little bit about the schedule and where we're going to go from here. So we do have the one meeting scheduled on Thursday, and we, there right now we don't have anything on community health scheduled. So I did just want to have the task force discuss that a little bit, and what should happen with community health. And before the task force talks about that, there's also a notion that once the entire recommendation for the task force is ready, then to look at the earned density idea at that point. So for that, what I would suggest is that at the meeting in August, that we look some of the things that might incline some folks to go with earned density or to put it in earned density may not be final yet, as there, I think, still maybe some last minute discussion on a few items once everything is in place. So, but earned density could go at that point as well. But I did want to give everyone a chance to weigh in and what should be done on community health. And Michelle, I don't know if you wanted to start that off and you make a recommendation on how to move forward there.
Well, I guess, well, first, one question. I don't believe we've seen an updated version of Parks.
Right.
Do we know when that
That's
will
coming
be
out.
provided?
Parks is coming out. We just met with staff this morning.
Right. But will we have an updated version in time to review and vote on Thursday, or will we need more than? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We have John Carter, Jennifer and I worked on a community health reconciliation document that I think is pretty close to being ready to go, perhaps even this evening. So I can distribute that, and we can try to fit it in on Thursday too.
Well, there's also public facilities, which I don't think is going to be too bad, because Charles Colby's already presented it. What you're going to be receiving is a document that the format has changed. The verbs are now active, and the chart has been increased to include everything. So I think it's more clear. So maybe we can do community health on Thursday.
I would like to interject that I may not be able to attend very much. I am on my way to work at 5 p.m. and I may not be able to listen in very well, or not. But I would prefer that you do parks and open space and public facilities at a date when I can be there.
Well, this is our last meeting, Jan. This is it.
I thought we were meeting in August.
No, that's a wrap up correction meeting. These chapters have to be presented they have to be formatted to go out to the community, which takes an enormous amount of time. So this is the last week.
Maybe I can help. The Parks and Open Space is ready to go. So I imagine the next few hours it can be sent. So Jan, you could take a look at it probably tomorrow, and then just bring the comments separately if you can't attend the meeting. Would that work for you?
Yes.
Thank you, Jan.
I think I'll be able to attend some of it, but not all of it. Yeah.
So then I guess we put community health on the schedule for Thursday as well.
I would suggest doing that.
Yep.
And will public facilities be included too?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So open space, public facilities, and community health.
That sounds
Get your
great.
cups of coffees, folks. Going down for a grinder on this last one.
Well, that would be great if we could get through those three. That'll be fantastic. So if everyone could work towards that, then let's see what we can do on Thursday. We'll try not to make it too long of a meeting, but and Jan, thank you for your understanding, and please do get in any comments ahead of time. And anyone else that can't be there for whatever reason, that would be great. And we still do have the last cleanup as well. And going into that, I'll work with anybody on the task force who's interested in putting something together, at least the concept of earned density before that meeting, and get that around as well. So does that sound okay with everybody? Any other thoughts or ideas?
You faded out for a while there. So after you talked about everything, you started to mention something, and at least for my hearing, you blurred out. So before you talked about earned density, you spoke about what?
Basically, once it sounds like we're going to be able to wrap up the other three chapters on this coming Thursday, and then we'll still have the cleanup. The overall recommendation that's going to require some more work pulling that together. That'll be in mid-August.
Okay.
And I did say that anybody else that, like Jan, who can't be there on Thursday, to be sure to share your thoughts ahead of time, or pass them on to somebody else on the task force so they
Thank you.
can be
I did not
discussed.
hear the object of your verb cleanup. Now I've heard it.
Okay.
So
One
Walter,
question. I have one question.
yes.
Walter, you had said at one point, if anybody had points they wanted to add to a chapter, and you specifically were talking about transportation, that they had to be in by a certain date. You wanted them to be written to you ahead of time, but what date
Correct.
is that?
Yeah, let us set a date. Let me talk with John about that. But I do want to have that at least a couple of days before the final meeting, so that everybody can see what's going to be voted on. Any last minute changes, anything substantive.
You're talking
And
about a mid-August meeting? Is this what you're talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
correct. That's right. That's
I
right.
would really like to have it not just days, but at least a week before, so that
Okay.
so that I can have it in order for us to treat in an orderly fashion.
All right, then let's do that. We still need to schedule that mid-August meeting. But with that suggestion, what we can do is just say that at least 1 week in advance, anybody that would like to make a specific change in the overall recommendation, it may be a little tough, John, though, because I'm not sure when that document is going to be ready. You know, when the final draft compilation. Um,
Well, here's
so
my suggestion. All chapters, all text, all graphics to be done Thursday, this Thursday. So that the whole document can be put together, but no more changes to the text or graphics past this week. If you want an extra day Friday, I guess we gotta have a little bit more, but everything is in Friday, no changes after that.
So
And then we'll put the whole document together and you'll get to see it, the whole document one more time in the middle of August. But
So
if you don't have it in this week, then we're not gonna make it.
So John, you want all changes to you by Thursday, is that right?
By Friday, I guess we're saying by Friday.
Okay.
Final chapters to Lisa or Trudy by Friday.
Yeah, and this is, John, just so that you know, this is the final chapters that are being voted on. So if
Yep.
there are any amendments to those chapters that come to a vote on Thursday, that the amended chapters be provided to us by Friday.
Yeah.
So the next day.
Great.
And then this whole document can be put together the following week and
Right.
however long it takes, which might take a while. There's all
We
the
can do it.
pagination, table of contents, and getting the graphics in with the text, getting all of that done is going to be quite an effort.
So does that work for folks? So that means, and I have already received, my office has already received a couple of requested changes or votes rather, revotes on a couple of items. So John, you're saying is basically those all need to be in by Friday.
Right.
Any changes from the endorsed chapters. Does that work for everybody? Does that make sense?
It's going to be
Yep.
tight because I'm still awaiting new graphics from Fairfax County DOT on the grids of streets. But I've asked them to hurry it up. I will push harder.
Thank you.
Okay, well then let's do that. And if we are going to have Friday be the deadline, what I will do is let's make sure that this is put in writing to the task force, because I know not all the task force members are on this call today. So John, we'll work with you on some language to send around to task force members that basically will request that any changes, any final revotes on any elements of the chapters be submitted in writing by this Friday. Okay?
I think it's critical that we're able to do that. And you know what Mike Jennings was saying is, you know, he would like to be able to read these things from top to bottom, and that's certainly a reasonable request at this point.
Okay. All right. Anything else before the task force this evening?
Walter, this is David. You were in and out on your comments about earned density statement and earned density document. At what point can the task force see the document? And I frankly, I would assume others would, but I'd prefer to see the red line version.
Yeah, I think it could be sent around. John Carter, do you think that could go around now as well?
I think it could. I didn't realize there was a red line version.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've lost track of versions.
It's just one version. I don't think there has been an initial version.
Who's in the driver's seat on that?
Well, that was one we were waiting until the rest of the chapters were done, with the idea that there may be some things that fall out of the other chapters that might fit in earned density.
Right.
So
Okay.
so it's kind of orphaned. So if anybody wants to pick it up, Lynn, I know you've done enough, but if
Well,
anybody
I'm
wants to pick
happy
it up,
to. I just don't want to have a laser focused on my forehead. I know that earned density is a sensitive subject for a lot of folks, and you know, I don't want to be the subject of a negative attack because of it.
Who's on the
I
group?
can work with you.
I thought
Besides
this,
John Carter and you, Walter,
I
who's
thought
on
that
the
there was
earned
a
density
subgroup.
group?
yeah, there was one meeting. There was only, I believe, one meeting. John, who was on that? I don't even remember. It's been a while.
Mark Looney was on it. Jan was on it. Somebody else.
Moira,
I
Moira,
think Shane was on it.
That's
Yeah.
right. And
I would like to be working with Lynn.
Moira County.
Well, I'm happy to help in any way, as always.
all right, that sounds good. Well, let's circulate the last version of that, and Lynn, let's coordinate on it. But let's get that circulated in the next 24 hours. Whenever we get the word out that changes from the endorsed documents need to be done by or need to be in by Friday. The other thing that
Friday,
we can
July
do is
29th.
July 29th. Yeah, that's good. And the other thing I think it would be helpful, and I know we're piling up on Thursday, to also at least go through the earned density document to see what's in there right now, so that it can be dispatched pretty quickly on that meeting night in August, whenever everything else is done. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
And I can work with you on the earned density if you want.
That sounds great, Jan. Thank you. I look forward to it. Oh my goodness, she's so adorable, Chris. She's getting so big.
Yes, she is.
Hi, Olivia.
She's somehow very tolerant of meetings, right?
Train them early,
She's
Chris.
beautiful. Wow.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Can take 26 minutes of your evening back, but thanks everybody for your understanding and moving through all this. This is almost there.
Yep. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.